Hi, I'm Dr. Dan Ratner. As part of our Mind-Body Connection series, we'll continue to look more deeply at the 3 columns and their corresponding action steps. Today, we're going to look back at the doubt column and how to get your doubts articulated. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I'll be glad to answer them myself. Okay, so we're going to take a closer look at doubt and how you can get those doubts articulated. People ask me all the time, well, I might have doubt, but I don't know. And when they come to see me, one of the things I'm good at is bringing those to the surface. So I wanted to give a video so you guys knew kind of what I'm talking about when I do that, so you might be able to do it for yourself. So first, we're going to review what doubt is. And the fact is, doubt is really any uncertainty in this area about anything mind-body related. If you have any uncertainty, if you've got fear, if you've got confusion, or even just questions. A question means you have uncertainty. I'm not saying uncertainty is a bad thing. In fact, it's great to bring out into the open so that we can look at it and talk about it. And so, as I always say, this podcast is not just about crushing doubt. It's also about having crushing doubt and what we do with that. And so I want to put a plug in for getting your questions answered. That's really what it comes down to when it comes down to what is doubt. Getting your questions answered. So what you want to do is leave no stone unturned in terms of your questions. You want to write out a list, and it could be 500 questions. That wouldn't bother me at all. It might feel overwhelming to you, but the fact is, over time, we'll end up knocking those out with using science and logic and the things that make sense to you until you feel like you really understand it. When you don't understand these things, doubt becomes fuel for a mind-body problem. I say this all the time. The fuel of mind-body problems is doubt and fear primarily. And fear is just the emotional version of doubt. So by the end of working on your doubt column, you should have your answers set for everything. Now, I know that may feel like a tall order, but with the information that I give you and with information you get elsewhere, you will be able to get your answers together on things. If you don't have them all, that's okay, because actually the objective is not to get the answers first, it's to get the questions. And that's what this video is about. One thing I often keep in mind for myself, and I want you to keep in mind for yourself, is you have to work with the mind you have. You can't look at other people and say, well, this person got better fast, and this person did this, and this person thinks about it this way, or this person needed the research to get them to have no doubt. You might not care about research. You might think, I just want it to make logical sense. I want it to fit with what I see in my body. Trust that your mind is asking you for what it needs. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, and that includes myself. I can give you information, but ultimately this is about your mind. This is also a review if you've seen the videos before on doubt in the Mind-Body Connection series or otherwise. But there are 3 main levels of doubt. The first one is just at base. Are my physical symptoms a mind-body issue or not? Are they some other thing? Did I get an injury? Do I have an illness of some kind? Is there a disease going on? And sometimes people also worry about it being a combination. Okay, maybe it is a mind-body process, but maybe it's also something that's purely physical. Now remember, a mind-body process becomes real in the body, so it is real physically, but it comes from somewhere else. So there's confusion about that, and I'm going to get into how questions come up there, and also some examples of the kinds of questions that come up in that. The second level of doubt is, can mind-body issues even be cured? Even if I know it's a mind-body issue, can they be cured? Or is it just something where the mind is so complex that we wouldn't be able to get it done? One of the things that I talk about in here, in this doubt area, is when people talk about neural pathways and neuroplasticity. People get very worried when they hear those terms because they think what it means is that your mind is not actually that changeable. We can talk about the fact that these neural pathways happen, but a lot of these people are saying, hey, it takes time to change them. I'm all for you taking the pressure off and giving yourself time to get better, but I want to encourage everybody, neural pathways can change fast. Once you understand something, once you have that aha moment, we've all had this experience in life, you're changed for good. You don't go back. Once you understand something, you got it. It clicked. That's part of how this can work. The third area of doubt is let's say you think, yep, I have a mind-body issue. I believe they can be cured, but can I be cured? And that's when we worry that there's something about, we worry about something about ourselves or something about our own symptoms that would preclude getting better. This is a very common area of doubt. A lot of people come to see me. They've read Sarno or someone else equivalent, and they feel like, yep, I have a mind-body issue. I'm all for it. I know they can get cured. I've heard this from other people, but I don't know if I can. So how do you know if you have doubt? Well, here's the thing. It's very easy to have doubt. Almost everybody has doubt, and if they don't, it's because they've already done this specific work. If they haven't done this specific work, you have doubt. Everybody has doubt. Here's the other thing. If you aren't sure if you have doubt, you've got doubt. That's uncertainty right there. If it's uncertainty about anything, you want to try to iron that out. I'm not talking about like having all of the answers in life, but when it comes to mind-body work, I try to give a bunch of sets of rules and ideas and pathways to go down to understand it. And you all know, if you're watching this, how many contradictions there can be out there in mind-body practitioners and what they tell you. There are a lot of contradictions unless you understand it depends on the situation, it depends on the person, and you have some sets of rules that can help you understand that distinction. That's part of why I try to give a system that actually has these answers, because otherwise you're awash in questions. You can say, well, I don't know, this contradicts with that, and then how do you know? And then you've got doubt, and that's fuel for the mind-body issue. Let me remind you all, though, that when we looked back at the emotions column, one of the things I brought up is that emotions are about the onset and uptick of symptoms. Doubt tends to be about chronic symptoms, the symptoms that don't move at all. You have them every day. That's what my back pain was like. There could have been some ups and downs that were emotionally driven, but I had it every single moment of every single day. So here's the thing about doubt. Our belief system leads to a physiology that we stay in until we believe otherwise. And as a result, we are in a mindset typically that we've had since we were children, but then it becomes its own ball of wax when we've developed a symptom that's not going away. Suddenly we have a belief system that we're injured or that there's a problem that's never going to get relieved. And that changes our physiology in a way that's going to stay stuck until our belief system changes. So one of the things that I talk about with doubt is you have to think in moment-to-moment thinking. What this means is a chronic condition isn't what we think it is. Yes, it is an unbroken experience. But what it is when it comes to mind-body chronicity is it is moment by moment by moment, renewing over and over and over the same thing until it looks completely unbroken. It is completely unbroken. But when you know it's moment to moment, then you know that doubt is ruling the day and that you have a weapon against that chronicity. Because if you break one or two chinks in the armor, suddenly it's not unbroken and suddenly your doubt will go down. I had a question in a recent Q&A about how this works, that if you get a little change in symptoms, that reduces your doubt some. And then that will lead to another little change in symptoms, and that reduces your doubt some. More typically, that's what happens. You start to get some movement, you start to get some belief, and the doubt begins to shift. When doubt is beginning to be mastered, the symptoms of this nature will shift. If the symptoms aren't shifting, but your doubt's actually going down, it may be a power issue, and we can look there, or we may need to look back in the emotions column. But what I have found is it's always one of the three columns. So if you're not finding it, shift to a different column. If it is a doubt issue, though, the symptoms will begin to shift, and this is a sign that your doubt is going down. So let's remember again, what are the kind of four areas of doubt? One is general doubt, uncertainty of any kind. Another is just questions that you might have. If there's confusion in any area, and if there's fear especially leads to some of the strongest symptoms. It's like the largest form of uncertainty. So when I work in the doubt column, we have to get these doubts articulated. We have to help you understand, well, okay, what are they specifically? So here is the key. It's all about asking questions. When it comes down to it, almost every single one of you won't have any trouble asking lots of questions. If you felt safe to ask them, if you felt that there could be an answer to them, if you had some optimism that there were answers to these questions, then you could ask all of these questions. And when I work with somebody, that's what I try to do. Bring out the questions that they have. A lot of times they don't know, but they say, well, I'm not getting better. And then I ask them questions to get at those questions. But if you're doing this at home by yourself, that's what you do. You start to ask questions. Do I have doubt that this is a mind-body issue? Let's say that you maybe do. Well, what is that about? Okay, maybe it's, I don't know. The doctor said this one thing and that sticks with me. That's a doubt. You write down that question. Is what the doctor said true? Will I not be able to get better? Is this physical? Does arthritis cause pain? Do herniated discs cause back pain? All of these questions need to be written down, and then you need to find the source that can get you the answers. You don't have to have the answers. You need to have the questions. So you want to look for every area where you don't have a very clear viewpoint on it. You want to look at doubt at all those 3 levels. And don't assume you can trust your conscious beliefs about doubt. Okay? There's going to be plenty of times where you will think, no, I don't have doubt. No, I know it. Be very wary of doubt. It is extremely crafty. I was just talking with somebody about this, and this is someone who's mastered doubt many, many times. And he was talking to me and he was saying, maybe it's a power issue. And I was like, I'm hearing doubt in there. And when we looked, it was there. It hides. So don't trust your conscious beliefs about whether you have doubt. Trust the body when you're having symptoms, particularly chronic symptoms. That is a sign of doubt. So let's look at some of the specific doubts that come up about whether you have a mind-body issue or not. Some people will ask these kinds of questions. These are just suggested questions to look into. And that's something I do when I'm articulating questions also, is I give people examples of it so they can start to think, oh, yep, okay, wait, I did have that question. Oh, I had a related question. So one question that I get, mind-body issue coming up as I speak, this often happens. People ask, can this diagnosis even be real? I can't believe it. Or they might ask, well, how could these things be real when I've never even heard of this? How do all the people in my life not know this? These are doubts about just the nature of having a mind-body issue. Structural issues are another place, obviously, to look. People come to me all the time. They say, I have a torn labrum, or I tore my rotator cuff, or no, I pulled a muscle, or all kinds of things, or I have herniated discs, or arthritis. Or people come to me and say, I had a concussion, and then we're like, oh, but you're still having concussion symptoms a year and a half later. Then we start to wonder that when things don't heal, doubt is likely in there. People often ask questions about, well, it seems so random. And then I help them look at it and find out, how's it not random? Some people ask, why is it happening to me but not other people? These are legitimate questions, and they should be asked. And you can get the answers. I really want to challenge you. If you think you can't get answers to these questions, you can. If somebody understands enough about the mind-body experience, they should be able to give you answers. And that's something that I try to pride myself on, is investigating all of these questions. I even ask them for you sometimes. Triggers can bring up doubt. I was shoveling snow, or I was playing basketball, and then I got sore the next day. And then I'm like, well, why didn't you get sore right when you were playing? So the timing often can help you get doubt out. But that's not the step we're on in this video. The step we're on in this video is simply asking the questions. Physical events that happen to you can often lead to questions. If you are a therapist and you're sitting in a chair all day, a lot of people say, oh, we aren't meant to sit. Not true, and I can get into that in a different time, and I have at various points, but that's still a physical event that could lead to questions. Some people will say to me, well, but it's an extremely convincing symptom. I mean, this can't be a mind-body issue or a psychological defense. It's so convincing. Well, you have to remember, the psychological defense wants to be convincing. That's how it works. So I'm giving you some answers to some of these questions, but mostly what I'm trying to give you is the questions. Aging and deterioration. This is another way that people doubt it could be mind-body, or a doctor's diagnosis can carry a lot of weight. These are some ideas. And the reason I give you these ideas is you can ask these questions of yourself, but you're going to find you have related questions. That's how we articulate them. You start talking to me and I hear some potential questions and I ask them, and then you say, no, that's not it, but this is it. So it's the asking of the questions that gets the questions articulated well. When it comes to doubt about whether a mind-body issue is curable, these are some of the questions that I ask to try to get at things, or sometimes some of the questions that come up. Why aren't more people getting better if this is the case? Well, again, I can answer that. Most people don't know about it, or they don't believe it, or they're defended against it. But that's still a completely legitimate question that would make you wonder, maybe it's not curable because a lot of people aren't getting better. Here's another one. If it was so curable, why doesn't everybody get better quickly? Quickly is the word to underline there. Well, actually, doubt is the answer to that one too. The more doubt you have, the slower it goes. Now, don't berate yourself for having doubt. A lot of times it takes a lot of intelligence to have a lot of doubt. That doesn't mean you don't have intelligence if you don't have doubt, by the way, but it takes intelligence to have all of these questions. And we do have all of these questions. The question is, are they articulated or not? And the job is to bring them out. Here's another question in that light. If I'm not getting better right away, isn't that a sign that it might not be curable in some? My answer to that is there's no reason you'd be different than other people. But do you hear how that's a legitimate question? We want these questions out there. And a lot of times they're going on without our realizing it. That's the main thing I want to encourage you. There's a lot of things that go on in ourselves where we don't realize we have questions. Here's another thing. When I was getting better from this, I kept thinking, it's not possible that what I wish for would become real. That's crazy, because I wished that it was a mind-body issue, because then it would get better. So people sometimes doubt whether it can actually be real, what they want. Now let's move on to doubts about the self and how they can stand in the way of getting better. Here's some questions that come up, or some concerns. My symptoms are too severe. I've had the symptoms for too long. I just don't believe something this good could happen to me, that I could get better all of a sudden. Or I can't be powerful. I can't be powerful enough to beat this. I am too whatever to do it. I'm too negative, too fearful, too skeptical. I'm not smart enough. I'm too stubborn. People have all kinds of self-criticisms that lead to doubts, and these need to be articulated. There are sometimes people who say, who get in touch with it, that they have a doubt about whether they could get better because actually they don't really want it to be true because they think it's their fault. I worked with a woman once who is kind of the prototype of this in my mind because it was the first time I encountered that specifically. She felt that it would be a lot of responsibility, that she had caused it herself. That's not the case. I say this all the time. You are not the reason for your pain, but you can be the solution. However you try to raise these questions, these are some of the things you want to do as guidelines. Think about what you wish you knew about this and assume that there is an answer. I call that the crossword puzzle solution. You have to assume there is an answer to be able to get it. And you don't have to do it alone. Ask questions. You can ask me. Put it in the comments. I will answer them. Think about anything that makes you not sure about any aspect of it, any aspect at all. You don't want to leave any stone unturned because even a little bit of doubt is fuel. You got to remember to ask questions that you think there's no answer to. You have to ask at all the 3 levels of doubt. You have to commit to not hiding anything from yourself. You also have to remember doubt is not only allowed, it's encouraged, because by letting in the doubt, by articulating the doubt, by asking those questions, that's how we're going to get past these issues. It is all about asking questions. Remember to relate, if you're looking for themes about doubt, remember to relate it to high stakes, big ticket items. And remember to relate it to specific things for you. But ask it in question form. See what you don't know. See what you feel like you need to know. So here's another theme that brings up a lot of doubt. Experiences and people and ideas that are very strong in you can lead to doubts. So if your mom says, oh, I don't know, this might be a herniated disc that caused this, that's going to carry more weight than a stranger on the street. At the same time, society can really shift us in a lot of directions. So remember to be a detective. Ask your questions. No question is a bad one. I know we hear that all the time, but it really is true. If you aren't fully 100% about anything, then you do have doubts. And that means there's a little bit of fuel there. And I still have doubts that pop up here and there. Or I notice, okay. Sometimes I will have this doubt. This will be a funny one for you guys to hear. I'll think, well, I'm one of the leading experts in this. I should have no doubt, right? So now I have doubt that I'm qualified because I have some doubts. Well, guess what? Everyone has doubts. We're all going to have them. We need to work with them and find them in every corner. Last thing I'll say about this is you need to get your questions articulated so that you can ask them. And then you need to have them answered to your satisfaction. If it's not answered to your satisfaction, it's not going to alleviate your doubt. I appreciate you guys watching this. I hope this was helpful in understanding how you can get things articulated. But the bottom line is, ask your questions, challenge yourself that you have more questions than you know, get them articulated, and then find out how to get them answered. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I will answer them personally. Thank you for watching.